snatch pulsing, and then maybe some regular deadlifts. But the plan is potentially do 75 kilograms for 3 to 5 sets of 5 um, snatch pulls. I built 170 for a 3x3. We'll see how that's feeling once I get to that weight. And then deadlifts, kind of by feel. So I might go and do a heavy one, or I might just do a heavy single, or might try a heavy like double or something. I don't really want to put a certain number on it because it's very subjective. Because it's actually kind of cold, I'm going to throw these knee wraps on just to honestly just help my legs stay warm, just to give more layers. I have training pants under this and some regular sweatpants, but it's not like unbearably cold or anything. But that's like if a day like this where I'm not really, you know, straining my knees or quads or anything really to do these lifts, I still will like to wear knee wraps sometimes just for literal warmth when it is cold. So it's definitely a strategy people can implement. You just don't put them on as tight, so you just essentially use it as another layer, and a layer that's specific to your joints or whatever joint. This one in particular, your knees, just kind of a big important one. But we're gonna press. We got the bar. We'll do the I mean, basically the same thing I did last time. So bar, then 50, and then 75, and then just be vibing. I guess instead of 70, 75, but. Throw the weightlifting shoes on. Not so much for the pressing, but for the pulls. And it just feels better to have them on versus like regular tennis shoes because they're flat and have a stable surface. But I mean, I could probably do the pressing fine with the regular tennis shoes. It wouldn't be that big of a thing, but it's nice to kind of use the same implement for every training session. But I don't know. I never tried to. I guess when I was doing powerlifting, I did all my work with flat shoes. Wood sip. But the shoe tide, you get 50 on the bar. And then press it. Press it once more. I don't feel too sore from training yesterday, which is interesting. Pretty good training total for not focusing on. I don't even know what that means. But appreciate you guys stopping in. Time to press 50. 50. Live for like 5. Easy enough, so we'll just go up and do 75. The first, oh yeah, Privyet, I know that. That's about all I know. And I don't think that the comrade part is asking a sentence. I guess the middle part. I don't know why you're asking me Russian questions. I know Privyet, Polka for goodbye, and Niet. And Duchet, which you hear people say in lifting videos. That's the extent of my Russian. That is all I know. I can say hello in Uzbek, Assalamu alaikum. In Arabic, Salam alaikum. In, well, Spanish, hola. Do you know this? I don't even. As the question doesn't give me anything. All right. Well, let's 75 out of our. Yes, Luca. Yo hablo un poco español, pero no más. Uh, or, puedo leer más que me entiendo español. So basically, I can speak it, I can read it, but listening to it is pretty difficult. But honestly, I'm getting better at it over the years. Because listening is just experiential. I can read it and understand for the most part. I can say it, or at least get, I have that survival enough. Like I could be dropped in Mexico and speak it, but the listening to it, it comes in my ears too quickly. I'm slowly getting better at it. There. Wasn't too bad. At least be able to get, I would say, 3 sets. I don't ever watch fights. I don't care about boxing or any of that stuff. Nor do I care. If I was gonna watch a boxing match, it would be a real one, not a fake one like that one. I like Mike Tyson, but don't really care about fights. What's up, Reed? I'm here trying to get a massive press. It's not working. I need to eat some chalk. Pressing out of the rack is exponentially more difficult than any other position. All right. You know what that is. All right, probably just got one more. Some week. I don't think you're my brother, Backfire. I don't think my brother's in the chat. Not related to me. Oh, that was really difficult. That was not a fun set, but I'm gonna do at least one more set. Probably just one more because that felt difficult. I'm not your broski brother, but probably one more set of those, and then snatch pulls up to 170. Assuming our snatch deadlifts, probably more snatch deadlift than pull. Maybe some regular deadlifts. Brothers from another mother. Now that I can't argue with. That's just a fact. Just 3 of those. Definitely felt the 5 kilo increase. Alright. Last time I did snatch pulls, it was like pressing into my thumb. It was, or like into the bone of my thumb. So I'm going to use my regular strappy boys. I'm going to do some pulls now. I like how every time I lift weights, someone has to ask a stupid question about politics. It never fails. Inevitable World War III. Ah, yes. Local man does overhead press on a Friday night. What should we ask him? Political views. Oh. But no, Reed, I'm gonna do some snatch pull / snatch deadlift, and then maybe some regular deadlifts. I wrote 170 down. That seemed kind of heavy. But we'll do 110. And then 40 and 70 for a 3x3. I've changed these sessions a bit to be more focused on pressing and pulling without any derivatives, just so they're mentally easier to just do, and I can kind of just come out and just smack away. No worries, Reed. No worries, brah. But in our last minute snatch pulls, I was having like pressure in like the bone of my thumb, so I'm gonna use my regular straps that I use for, like, you know, snatches and stuff. See if that alleviates that, if it was just the other straps I have. But world about to go kabooey. I don't backfire. You're talking to the wrong person. I'm too old for stupid stuff, stupid memes like that. Sorry. I'm glad kids I work with don't say that stuff. Although I think I've had one kid say the Sigma thing once. Alright. Oh my gosh. Dang, a bunch of text. My buddy just finished training. Okay. Well, apparently better than my friends. I guess the gym's really packed right now. So it's funny because like every other day, I am like doing the heavy lifts. So it will alternate weeks, whether it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and just happened to be this week. It was Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Otherwise, I would be at the gym. Probably be a little bit mad if it was hyper packed. But tomorrow's gonna be some heavy lifts, and another really excited on the weekend. Just finishing grad school work. I have for one class, I think essentially 2 more assignments, and the other I have like 3. But December 2nd, I think, is when the last one is due. So, or last assignment is due. So after that date, there'll be a break for winter and then spring classes. But Saturday tomorrow will be some heavy lifts, and yeah, I was very surprised. So I ended up also doing a 153 clean and jerk, and I missed it once. The jerk. It's always the jerk that I miss. And the second one, I wasn't the worst lift I've ever done, but it was pressed out a bit. And the reason I did 53 is so eventually, if it's easy, I'd be able to jump from there to 160. It's actually the jump I made at my comp. That was the last warm up. Was 53, but not easy on that day. The 120 I haven't hit in a while. Since before I started doing all these squats, I had a day where I missed it 4 times and then made it, or 3 times. Oh. But and then the squat, the whatchamacallit, the triple was obviously a PR. The 215 I did for 3, I think, was a triple PR then. So the best double I've done with a squat is 220, which I did earlier this year. I had to go back. I had to go back a while to see what that double actually was. So I knew I'd done 220. I didn't realize how long ago it was. It was towards the beginning of this year. But yeah, the 220 for 3 yesterday was surprisingly, I don't want to say routine, but it was better than I thought it was going to look. And dear God. Okay. There we go. Where'd it go? Sorry, my friend is texting me. My phone's getting messed up, but at least Daz has a non-political question that I'm not going to answer, so making strides. All right. So we're going to do 40 now, so we're going to throw in the yellows. Yeah, you're right, Daz. Best chat GPT your questions. Machine will be forced to give you an answer. Alright. Not bad. Not bad. My week was good besides Thursday. So we have this thing at our school called the Woot Woot Wagon. Essentially, kids come and use little incentive bucks that they earn to come and buy stuff at a store, and they do it during gym time. So half the gym, I'm doing like a 15-minute activity with them while the other class is shopping. Then they flip flop, which goes well. It's a good system. But on Thursday, someone, some random, and this is, it happens with kids, but some random kid, a some random kid, whatchamacallit, threw up. So that was kind of gross. And then like an hour or so, maybe it wasn't even an hour, but somewhat after that time, then a whatchamacallit, someone, because our building is connected to a freshman building. Someone at that building pulled a fire alarm, apparently accidentally, and we had to go outside, and it was raining. So that threw off the schedule a little bit, not too much, but it was very unpleasant. Because when the fire alarm is pulled and it's not a drill, you have to wait for the fire department to come and clear all the codes or whatever for it. And so we were out there for at least 10 minutes, which, isn't the end of the world, but it was raining and not very, not planned. So it wasn't like we could bring jackets and stuff. So that was not fun. See you later, back. But that was absolutely unpleasant. And the kids were not, I mean, no one was happy about having to go out, but yeah, that was not a fun Thursday. But I had my first observation. I think I might get two. It might be three. I think it's two formal and one informal. I forget how the teaching cycle goes. But had my first one, so that went all well. And, had finished you do a pre-conference, talk about your lesson, do the lesson, then you have post-conference. So that process is done, which is nice. And I think the principal said he's going to do another one, maybe like after break, I don't know if it's an informal one. I feel like it was formal, informal, formal. Sometimes I forget because it's not the same every year, but since it's my first year in the district, I'll get the full eval, and I think it will probably be less the next year. So I don't know how they do it as you're in the district more, if it's like just one or if it's just on a need. I don't know. I assume it's, you get eval in some regard. Sarah is calling me fat. That's honestly pretty toxic. I'm not bulking. You're calling me fat, saying I got fupa. I got a big belly. That's pretty toxic. I'm not bulking. I'm just wearing more clothes. That's the true Chad way to bulk. It's just add layers and then you look bigger. Angles and layers. It's really like an ogre. No, Sarah, you just call me fat. It's all right though. I'm a fat guy, I guess. Just fat slob out here doing pulls. All right, so we're gonna take yellow off. We gotta put blue. I guess I could have put this'll work. No, we'll put a red on because I'm gonna deadlift. Work smart, not hard. So this makes 60. How was your week, Reed? Did anyone call you fat today? Sewer called me fat. Absolute slurping on the haterade. I'm out here living my life, eating healthy, lifting weights, and Sarah's out here saying I look like a Jabba the Hutt impersonator. Yeah, it makes for good stories, but thankfully the throw up was on the other side of the gym. That honestly grosses me out. It's like kids wiggling their teeth. And so like little stuff like that just grosses me out. But that potentially the worst. Why was it the worst week? Is it just because the finishing your work? Because I saw your thing, like you hadn't lifted or I forget what your caption said, but on your post, because I could think back of some bad weeks, sir. It's unexcusable. You should be perfect, just like I have to be perfect. But unfortunately, I'm a fat Job of the Hutt slob, so it's all right. But when I think of my worst weeks, when I think back at like my first year of teaching, those were some weeks that I had. Those were some weeks. Makes makes anything I go through now seem like cupcakes. But I suppose that's what life experience gives you. You deal with bad stuff, and then it's like normally, like if this kind of event happened, my first year of teaching would have stressed me out more. But um, geez, that is actually terrible. I can't say I've had a week that rough, but oh well, I don't know even know what to say to that. That's some words that are not YouTube friendly, that aren't good. So that is some tough stuff, but at least MSN stuff got done, and you can at least move forward with that. But um, hello, Victor. I don't know Portuguese. And no, and I appreciate you mentioning it, Reed, because that is, I mean, having it happen once is already like a lifetime of stress, and then twice, it's just terrible. And I'm lucky in that regard that most of my life's problems are, I don't want to say self-inflicted like it's a bad thing, but like it's like, oh, I don't have romantic relationships or blah blah blah, but it's not, I'm not stressing out from that. It's just kind of like outwardly looking in and saying like, oh, I could improve this or that. And I thankfully haven't had any dramatic, or I don't want to say dramatic, but any extreme stuff happen to me like that for quite a while. I would say, which is thankfully I'm very lucky in that regard. That's where I'm glad, and that's where I can like, I appreciate the fact that when I'm, whether I'm teaching or lifting or whatever, it's like I have a pretty blessed life in the sense that like I get to hang out with kids all day and play in the gym, and then I got weights at my house if I want to lift at my house. I can go to the gym if I want to lift. Like I have a lot of hot. I could just skip a day and just do whatever. Like I have a lot of different things that I can do, and I'm also blessed in the fact that I don't have a lot of desire to do a lot. And some people view that as a negative thing, but I'm not like, man, I wish I could go travel or I wish I could do this. I'm like, I'm pretty content with doing the same thing all the time. But speaking of doing some things different, yeah, thank you, Sarah. I'm glad Sarah's being nice to you, Reed, because she was too busy calling me a fat slob earlier. So I'm glad she's being nice to you. That is good because being toxic to one person's already more than enough. But Thanksgiving break, I'm actually planning on. Well, I'm traveling back to my parents, but I go to my sister's fiance's house for Thanksgiving, and so it's going to be a new place because I've met her fiance before, but I haven't been to his place, his house, and I assume it's a house. At least from the pictures, it looks like a house. And then I think he has some kids and a dog, which I'm probably most excited to see his dog. To be frank, I met him. He's a nice guy. I don't really, I'm sure his kids are fine, but the dog looks really really cool. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the dog. Anytime I can see a dog, I'm always down for that. But when I travel home, I'm gonna potentially, in theory, stop in Columbus to train in a gym that I've done. I've trained there before once, and then I did a competition there, and then go up to Canton to train probably the Friday after Thanksgiving, and then potentially go to the other gym I went in the summer at some point. But that's when I'm down here. Like it's in Cincinnati, so I don't. It's not necessarily I have to do during the Thanksgiving break. But the Columbus gym is nice because it is actually on the way back up north, which is convenient because it doesn't. I don't have to go out of the way to go to. I just have to get off the highway. And the one in Canton is not as enjoyable to go to as far as the drive because it's 30 minutes further away from Cincinnati. So it ends up taking it like about a 4 hour drive, but it is a really nice gym. And I guess they are doing like a big training thing this Saturday. because I guess they're doing American Open finals or something. But most people probably aren't going to be going heavy or lifting on Friday or in the morning or early when I'm lifting. So I'll probably have the gym to myself, which that's where I'm not a good social butterfly. Where I'm like, if I was social, I'd be like, oh, I'll wait till Saturday and lift with a bunch of people. I think of, wow, that would be inconvenient. There's going to be a bunch of people in the way. It's going to be really stressful. I can go on Friday and there's not going to be anyone there, and I get to have all the space. So I'll probably do. Plus, then I stay an extra day, which wouldn't be the end of the world, but um, I like having Thanksgiving, then waking up, and then leaving the next day, because there's just not much to do when I'm up, visiting my parents, other than just hang out with them and watch football and stuff, which is fine and dandy, and I don't mind, but I like my routines. One thing I like is my routines. All right, so we got 60, 70. I had my camera running for like 8 minutes, so we're gonna try to do 70. Do it for 2 or 3. 3 sets, 2 or 3, but I'll probably be able to do triples. We'll see though. If it starts to like hurt my bone in my thumb, I'm not gonna try to do triples. I'm not that hard set on them. We'll at least do. I mean, if it feels really bad, we'll just do one. But won't know till we do it. If I lived in the former Soviet Union, I'd be talking about doing this for snatch doubles. I don't know why it doesn't feel heavier. I think probably because Sura's right. I'm just a fat slob. When you get fat, weights become easier. And snatch pulls are probably feeling lighter because my big belly's out of the way. So I guess read my week besides Thursday. Friday's been real bad. Sura called me fat, so I've been going through that. But do you have any is this, are you attempting for your first kid, or is this for additional children? My sister, I don't, well, she wouldn't tell me if she did or anything, but she has 2 kids now, and I think she's hinted at wanting more, which, kudos to her, but kids are, I mean, coming from someone that sees kids all day, they're a little terrifying. Yeah. But hopefully it does work out. I think, I mean, I can't speak for your wife because I don't know her, but you seem like a good guy, so I think you'd be good with kids and stuff. Hmm. How old are you guys, Reed? So you don't seem much older than me. Cardio? Oh God, you scared me for a second. You actually took my breath away for a second. Oh my God. Whew, I was like, maybe you live in like an Amish community or something. Like, I don't know what's going on, but that I'm yes, actually terrified me. Worse. I mean, 25 makes a lot more sense, but yeah. So I'm 4 years older than you, so I'm an old man. I'm your older. Um, what is the cardio channel? I mean, I do cardio, but I don't show it because it's not interesting. The main two kind of main forms of cardio that I'll do. I guess 3. One is just training quickly. So just train quickly. That elevates your heart rate because you have less time to rest. So that's an easy way. Second way is with a rower I have in the house, which is I bought because I like doing it, and I had the ability to have a stationary bike, and it wasn't comfortable. It was more like you're riding an actual bike, so you're kind of leaning forward, so it wasn't comfortable to do for really any like the time, no matter what kind of seat I had on it. Um, and I guess the third kind is just when I'm teaching, so walking around. If I want to, if I'm actually like putting an effort in, I can get well over 10,000 steps. Really, I kind of have unlimited potential in that. And the big reason I don't try to like get like 15,000 steps in a day is it'll just my feet will start to hurt. Like it's the actual like movement will start to be uncomfortable. And with as much lifting as I do, like I don't want to wear myself out, trying to walk 15,000 steps or whatever just to do it, because I know I'm going to get enough exercise when I'm actually training. But the rower is nice because it doesn't put any strain on my feet or anything. I enjoy it, and I think it's a good form of cardio. At least I enjoy it as far as that. And that's really the most important part of finding like a cardio thing that you like doing is something that you enjoy enough to repeatedly do. It's like I get a treadmill or something, but I don't want to walk more. Like I walk all day long while I'm teaching, so I don't want to do something that's the same movement. I wanted something that essentially takes my feet out of it and it's still cardio. And but stationary biking is good for that. But I like the rowing. I just enjoy that. It's probably because I'm good at deadlifts. Like just the leverage of it is easier, or at least feels natural. But um, how strong am I? I am 10 strong, plus 10 strength, plus 10 strengths. All right. So the second set here with 170. I think it was just the other straps I had. They were kind of probably moving in a way because that one felt fine as far as the grip. Do one more of those, and then some regular deads. Actually, I'm very surprised those are feeling easier. Well, Mark, if I grew up in the former Soviet Union, I might have, but unfortunately, I don't get the. I didn't grow up in the Soviet system, so I I have to use my own body and my own strengths, and not all the chemist's strengths. But I'm surprised like they don't pulls aren't feeling bad. I'm not necessarily getting like crazy high elevation on them, but Lasha, he's natty. I heard he's vegan as well. I don't think he has any animal products, so I think even the chance of contaminated supplements. I heard he doesn't even take creatine. He just wakes up and eats tofu and water, and then hits 225 snatches on the regular. It's pretty crazy, especially because he weighs 400 pounds. It's a lot of tofu. But yeah, I think there's one thing we can all agree on is top level weightlifters don't take any uh, supplementations. I think it's cool, and I know he would never say whether he is, taking any sort of stuff at this point, or if it's, the strength that he built up from years of being on that stuff, if it's just the residual effects. My guess is he's probably not on hardly anything. I don't know how much, Romania would just give him, give out that stuff. It's probably pretty easy to acquire, but I think if someone like him was to go full training camp for like a national team type thing, like he would gain a lot of his strength back really quickly and progress a lot faster. He could be intentionally holding himself back and seeing, just like I'm increasing the same time each week or blah blah blah. But I'd be curious. I know he'll never say whether he's taking stuff now or not. He said he wants to compete, but if he competes like locally, they don't probably drug test much in Romania. It's expensive to drug test, and they don't care in a country like that. But it's still cool to see because it's interesting to watch his workouts and his progression. Because obviously he's going to progress faster than natural lifters, or especially, I mean, even if he's not on anything right now, he's going to progress faster than a natural lifter from the years of supplementation that he was progressing with. So it's kind of neat to see, what he's doing and how he's just going about training. And it's his moves really, like his lifting is really aesthetic. And that was something I was thinking about the other day. I probably mentioned on the video, but it's called, I'm terming it, it's a new term. It's athletic prosody. So if you teach reading, it's a term that you might have heard of, but when you're teaching people to read, the term that people use to describe how someone reads. So prosody is your ability to sound natural when you're reading. So you can read correctly and sound like a robot or have to sound out like every little word. But if you have prosody, you're reading it like you're talking. And I think when people talk about the aesthetics of lifting, I think that word could be more accurately used as athletic prosody. So if you say that, it's not just doing a snatch or doing a clean jerk, but you're doing it in a way that looks correct or looks athletic. It's that like um, not it's that subjective aesthetic that people see it or like that looks good. Like Gabrielson Crane, like I would say he has athletic prosody, and it's like not only does he do the lift, but it looks good when he does it, and he does it correctly enough to where it looks like he understands how to move the bar in the most perfect way that he can. Um, Lasha literally got popped for drugs and then increased his strength exponentially from the time he got popped in 2015. And weightlifting is like the dirtiest sport in all of everywhere. Uh, you just got to look up the history of weightlifting and all the corruption that they recently uncovered, and the fact that like every top level weightlifter has been popped at some point, and also just physics and science with like how much he lifts. Like it's not physically possible to lift as much as he does without. He's not going to say that he's not because he's in a tested federation, but physics and logic get in the way of. It wouldn't even matter if he got caught. Like if you snatch 220, you're just taking stuff. Like it's not. It's like if someone can, back squat 750 pounds. Like 99.9% of those people are taking stuff. He was banned in 20. You just gotta look, he was banned in like up until 2015 or something. He was banned like 2013 to 2015, and then he somehow hasn't been caught since then, but has gotten much much stronger. He's added about like 20 kilos to his snatch and to his clean and jerk since then. Which when you're snatching 205 or 210, I think he might have did 210 or something then, so maybe only 15. Um, if it quacks like a duck and it looks like a duck, is it a duck? And Clarence Kennedy had the best way of describing it. It's like, let's say that Jesus Alvarez, say 100% not on anything, completely natural. Let's say that we sauced him up. Is he going to do 1,100 pounds in the squat? I don't know who the best natty is because it's a hard question to ask because there's people that pretend to be natural and they're not. So I don't know who the best natural is. It's an impossible question because you can't say Ray Williams because he squats about the same as Jesus Alvarez, and I don't. I think it's when you see people at that level of strength, they're going to not claim they're on drugs because it's not good for their brand. It's not good for the federation that they lift in, and it looks more impressive if they claim they're natural. Like if someone is squatting over 1,000 pounds, you just know what's happening. Everyone knows what's happening. It's not a radical thing to be like, that's probably not natural to have happen. And you have to be gifted, you have to be really good, but like what's someone gonna do 1,200 pounds if they take drugs at that level? Like there's a certain amount where it's like, once you see enough people lift weights at whatever level, whether it's in person or online, it's obviously impressive. That's the thing, is like, it's absurdly impressive. But if you just add 10% to what they're doing, and like, is that even like physically possible with every drug in the world? Not really. Like, is someone, if he does 1,000 pound squat and he adds 10% to that, and that's what, 1,110 pounds or whatever, is someone doing that raw? No one is doing that any part. And then people argue, well, we have more people in our federation, so it's more competitive, so we get better tonight. And I'm like, it's just, it's a dumb argument when people make that, because I know you can see what drugs do. Look at top level weightlifting. Look at a British Commonwealth Championship as far as the level of lifting, and then look at an European lifting, and then look at the difference. It's not the quality of the technique or the coaching or the effort; it's supplementation. That's the big difference. That's why a country like Albania will have people that have lifters in it. It's not because they figured out some magic weightlifting technique to get better. Um, Not as strong as those guys. But you see these tiny countries like Bulgaria, Albania. How do they figure out how to make all these great weightlifters? It's it's not their system that they made. It's a very easy way to create a lot of good athletes. Is you train people on the basics, you give them a lot of supplements, and suddenly they're world class athletes. It's not a complicated thing. Weightlifting is really easy to get good at. Obviously, at the extremes, you also have to have the good technique. Lasha, that's what makes him different. Is not that he's stronger or he has some secret strength technique or whatever. He has better technique. That's why he can lift more. It's same supplementation, the same kind of training as other countries. Nobody does different training. Everyone trains the same way, but he has better technique, and that's the only difference at the highest of levels. It's supplementation's the same. Some people are more athletic than each other, and so it's an even playing field for the most part for that. Other than countries that like mostly the U.S. for the most part. Um, It's impossible. So that's 10% is a good number just to estimate. So if I can give you, for instance, my best deadlift is 305 kilograms. If I added 10% to that, 335, is that possible for someone on drugs to do? Very much so. There's lots of people to do at my body weight, lots more than that on all the sauce in the world. So you could say that a 305 is a pretty realistic number for someone that is not on performance enhancing drugs. When you look at other lifts, whatever lift that is, it's a good way to estimate if someone is not. If you look at, say, someone like Carlos Nassar, who's done a 225 clean and jerk, and you add 10% to his lift, is someone, what's 22 pounds or 22 kilos or whatever, is someone at 89 kilos going to be able to do a 237 and a half kilogram deadlift or whatever 10% of that? And then it becomes like you've never really seen that in history. So then you can say, well, most likely probably on the stenosimal, and you see that with even American athletes. There's I forget his name, but he attempted like a 220 jerk, and he was 70, 81 or something. Like, he's a lighter lifter. Like, is there someone trying 10% more than that that's on drugs? Like, I don't know, and then you can just assume what's happening. But I have no idea what Austin Perkins is. But I mean, Mark, it could be 10% or it could be 20%, but it's different for each person. A, because of the substances, the type of substances, how you take it, all of the intricacies of that, but also your response to those substances, and also the quality of your training if you are athletic. If me and Lasha from a young age were given the same training and the same supplementation, he will 100% of the time always be a better lifter because he has more athletic ability to develop better technique. And that's something I hold true. I think is very true of even people like Ilya. He would be a really good lifter even without supplements, but with the supplements, he's better than everyone else that's on the same supplements. And so he obviously does something a little bit different. Maybe that's just a crazy response to it, but also it's pretty isolated. It's out in my shed. But also, it's the response to it, but also the ability to develop technical ability. 800. I don't know, bro. 800 is a lot. That's what's hard to tell is what is the natural limit, because there's so many people that pretend to be natural, like Jesus out. You have those guys at the top of the IPF or whatever that like I'm natural, I'm not on drugs. Like we all know what's happening, so obviously that's not natural. Um, I would say, based on my experiences of seeing what people have done lifting wise, if you had a super heavyweight that I have no idea about bench press. So bench press, I have no context about. But I would say like a super heavyweight squatting 800 pounds naturally, I would say is probably possible. But that's where you'd have to have someone that's really good at squats, built for it, good genetics, good response to training, low injury history, all that good stuff. For like not super heavyweights, so like someone my body weight, probably not. Probably not. That's the thing is I don't know what's possible or not because we don't know. People are dishonest inherently. So for a squat, probably, but it's also one of those things. Um, I don't know. I don't, that's the thing. It's like 900 seems like absurd, and that's the thing is like training's gotten better. Training equipment, the analysis of technique and programming and all of that stuff, but the thing is, Mark, is like questions like that aren't really relevant because for me, an 800-pound squat is not something I'm ever going to contend with because I'm not going to inject steroids into my body, and that's just so it's not even like I know the physics of what I can possibly do are nowhere near that. So to me, it's like if someone else can do it, I don't really care because I kind of configure, I can extrapolate what's probably happening if that kind of lift's happening. But in my world, I don't really care too much what other people do as far as like whether they're on drugs or not because I'm not competing against them. Like Jesus Alvarez, he just does powerlifting. I see his lifts, they're really heavy. It's not relevant. I don't do powerlifting. I don't compete against him. I don't care in that sense. So whether he's on or not, like it doesn't impact my lifting one way or the other. And the same with even like any weightlifting competition I do. It doesn't impact what I do because I'm competing against myself and my own numbers. So what's possible or not as far as like the estimate is it's an impossible question because there's always going to be an outlier of some sort, but like I don't know. That's the thing is like I don't know what's actually possible or not because too many people lie. If we had perfect statistics of what people could do on drugs versus not, then everyone can make those estimates a lot better. But you have people that squat over 1,000 pounds that say that they're not on any substances, and you see someone, I'll see someone in person that squats 800 pounds and openly is on whatever drugs to help them, and you see the differences. You're like, well, I see one person, I see the actual work that they put in and the training that they do, and they work extremely hard, yet this other person doesn't do the extra stuff, the extra supplementation, in theory, works even harder to get to those heavier weights and somehow has figured out everything perfectly. It's just, once you see natural people lift and enhanced people lift, and you see the level of work that those two different categories of groups of people can put in and the levels that they can progress, um, because I've seen both normal people and enhanced people, you kind of start to understand like how absurd it is when people are like, "Oh, is it natural to squat 800 or 900?" It's like you just have to go and experience the world a little bit, and you'll see like how absurd it would be. No, I like having health. Like I don't need like I'm gonna take that and what be an above average garage lifter. It's just it's expensive, bad for my health, and it wouldn't get me anything in life. All the reason I would do it is to flex my ego, and I don't have an ego with hitting an arbitrary number. If I can improve the numbers that I've done, that's what's more important. The only reason that someone like me would want to hop on stuff is to compare myself to others. And everyone does that, but to me, I have enough sense to know if I see someone snatching 160 kilos, I'm probably not going to get to that point unless I were to use different supplements. And to me, a 160 kilo snatch or whatever wouldn't get me anything in life. It's not going to get me anywhere. and it's not important enough to destroy my health just to do a number. When I get as much satisfaction out of hitting a PR, whatever number I hit now, versus hitting some arbitrary number because I see other people doing it. Not to mention, it's terrible for your health. Ugh. Unless you have some crazy goal. I was trying to go to the Olympics. I just live coming out to the shed. I'm just coming out in the shed. Yeah, and it's like, it's weird because I can understand people wanting to do it, of course, people having a goal to do it, and for adults with their own body, they understand the ramifications or they have an extreme goal, like a strongman or even powerlifting. Like if you have that goal, then I don't have like a moral or ethical problem with it. I just don't want to put my body through the ringers for that just to be. I don't think about strongman, Mark, really at all. I don't watch much strongman. Last I paid attention to it, um, probably never. When I was a kid, I guess it was on TV, so I watched Zagrunas, but I don't. I don't know. Hafthor, he's really tall and athletic, Icelandic, I think, and is deadlifts, a lot. But that's a nice thing when you focus on your own goals. I don't sit around and think about Hafthor or really like high level weightlifters. I like watching them lift and kind of seeing what's possible. But as I've gotten older, it's almost kind of sad when you see, like, look at this kid, he's 19 and he snatched 170. Like, that kid's been essentially abused as a minor and given drugs. And in any other context, in any other situation, if you just went through the facts and you're saying, this coach gave a 14-year-old drugs, everyone would say, that's bad. But then you see someone snatch 170 and it looks real pretty. And I get caught in that trap too, where, man, it looks good, but you kind of feel bad for their livers and their bodies, because that's kind of one of the funny myths in weightlifting, where people are like, oh, your prime is like in your 20s and you can't progress when you're older. And it's like, if you're taking a bunch of drugs from the age of 14 and you put 20 years of training in 10 years, yeah, you probably are going to be 28 and be burnt out physically and mentally from lifting. But if you're just a normal person lifting normally, you're going to progress slower, but you're also going to progress longer. Um, I follow lots of lifters. I just don't follow strongman or really powerlifting. The most I see of like someone like Jesus is when my friend sends them, but there's not a lot of weightlifters. They're like Hook Grip and ATG. Like those pages kind of cover all of the main lifters. I don't really care about specific lifters as much. I mean, most of the, as far as like the aesthetics, St. Crane's a good one for that. Clarence Kennedy, um, kind of like the grit of a normal guy. I mean, Owen, the Sika Strength guys are good. Mostly Owen. Um, as far as like really high level weightlifters, obviously St. Crane is in that category. I mean, ATG and like Hook Grip, they post most of the guys that people would be interested in, but older lifters like the Dmitry Lopakov, that was always cool to see. The kind of like tank unit that he was. Same with like Dmitry Kokov, like just his brutal strength. Um, and Aliski Trohidi, his old lifts are just have a different aesthetic to it. He has that athletic prosody that I was talking about. But once you see those lifts enough, then you still look at them. But I don't really like Ilya, of course. Like I don't know. It's one of those things that it's it's cool to see, it's cool to look at, but as high level weightlifters are all on drugs. That's not. It's if if you were at the Olympics, if you're at like Europeans in the A session, there's like a 99% chance that you're on everything in the world. Find them. Even West Kitts, the American star darling got popped right before the Olympics for a banned stimulant. They just let him still go. So obviously, like even American lifters can get away with it. There's other lifters in America that can get away with it as well, I'm sure. And it's America actually has to drug, doesn't have to, but they actually do drug test people. So it's like I hate to break it to you, but they all take drugs. That's why they're at that level. That's why you hear about them because they lift more than everyone else that's on drugs as well. It's it's just reality. I don't. Um, if they weren't on drugs, you would have never heard of them. If Sincrane never was given steroids as a teenager when his Romanian training system, you would never have heard of him because there was 8 other kids that were given that same stuff or given stuff and that would have progressed more than he did. So it's a catch-22 because the people that aren't, you don't hear about. Like me, I'm not going to the Olympics. I'm not going to a high-level competition and beating people at Europeans or at some national world competition. And it's not like, oh well, if I took drugs, I'd be just as good as them. I started weightlifting when I was like 24. I was never going to be at the top, even if I took all the stuff in the world. I would have to have really crazy genetics for that to happen. But the to think that people at the top lifting absurd weights, I don't know, Mark. I have good genetics for deadlifts, which I'm going to do here. So I did 3 sets of 3, 170. One can never truly rate their genetics. The only way to really rate your genetics is if you like lifting and you keep doing it. I have good genetics for that, I suppose, for maintaining routines. You can find it in the description of, I think, this stream, but also of all of my videos. You can find a direct link to it. If you search through my channel, you'll be able to see it because I did it this year. I did 300 more frequently, but my channel, my YouTube channel, it's on my Instagram too, but YouTube will probably be the easiest to find it. If you just search on my channel, like 305 kg, it should pop up. I don't know why it wouldn't, but I haven't looked at it in a little while, or I haven't tried to search it for a little while, but it was in the summer. I think the summer I did. I think later in the summer, maybe it was the early fall. I forget exactly when, but it was this year for sure. But we're gonna throw 220 on the bar and then deadlift it. But I suppose maybe I'm delusional. Maybe nobody takes steroids. And they'd all just want it more than I do. Lumpy ground. That's a true secret. You just have to want it more. I just don't want to be strong enough. That's my problem. I've done powerlifting. It's boring. Like the length of the meet. I don't like waiting around that all day to do lifts, and I hate bench press. So no, I've done it. Weightlifting's more fun. Oh yeah, I did do that. Yeah, I've done 300 a couple times with a belt. I'm actually trying to get better at deadlifting with a belt because I did all my I usually just do them without a belt, and it actually should help with a belt. It's true, but a strong belt helps both of those things. I would do a powerlifting meet if it was an hour and a half long. Weightlifting takes like 2 hours for the whole thing. Well, I guess the weigh-ins adds more time, but the whole competition is like under 2 hours. So you're not there till nighttime. All right. So this is 220. You know, I'm gonna use my other straps. These won't bother me for deadlifts. See if they go on easier, because my straps are getting caught on there, so I think these ones might slide on a little bit better. We'll see. Maybe they won't. Oh, they do. He's busy. Mostly I've benched is 330, but that was a PR I did years ago. Don't remember my body weight when I did it, nor do I remember my total. I did a better training total than competition total. I do remember doing more in training. I also like training more than the competitions. That's the other problem is powerlifting competitions don't really breed your best lifts. They don't really necessarily allow for it. But I want to say I did. I don't even remember, honestly. It's on my channel. Buy weights and lift them. Well, I will say I do like the powerlifter guys that I'm around. I think people take powerlifting too serious in some ways, as far as like the programming, because I don't think it's very complicated. I don't think it's very for natural lifters. I think once you're enhanced, then things got to get more complicated because you're dealing with just such sheer weight that you have to kind of get a little fancier with it. But like, if I just wanted my squat to go up, and just squat. Like it's not, it ain't complicated. I think people, RP this or that. I've never used RP. That stuff don't make any sense. My rate of perceived exertion. Oh, I could do 3 more reps. I don't ever know. I've done max reps that people said, oh, you could have done another. And like, I literally could not have done another. So it's very subjective, and I don't care for stuff like that. But 457 is a lot. I suppose, but I just don't follow them anymore. Once I stopped powerlifting, I stopped following. Like I used to follow people like Max Tuning and the Russell Ories, and I just don't powerlift, so I don't really care. Although like someone like Max Tuning, I don't even know if he does YouTube stuff anymore. But like Russell Ory, just I don't know. It's to me, it's kind of boring. When you don't personally know the person, when it's people you know, it's more interesting. But I don't know. Like I think they are just not, it's just not interesting unless you know the people. I guess that's where the issue I kind of get with that. Weightlifting at least is more interesting. But for me, but probably it's because I do it. All right. $50. 60, 65, 70, 80, I think it's also hard to make powerlifting training interesting. Yeah, I think it's a lot more rewarding because to me, it's not just getting stronger; it's improving the technique and getting the reward, like the athletic reward. So to me, it's much more similar to throwing a baseball in the sense that you have to put maximum effort into what you're doing, but you also have to do it correctly to do it well. And powerlifting is much more just how hard you can throw a baseball, no matter where it's going. And best overhead press is 102 or 103. 102 or 103. So 225 or 227. I definitely done 102. I forget if I did a little bit more than that. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, I definitely when I did the first clean where I couldn't power it, or at least I didn't feel like it was high enough where I could in theory power it, and I had to like get under it. That's when I caught it, and I was like, this is much more exciting than a squat or a deadlift. And I still, in a sense, enjoy squatting and deadlifting, but that kind of like excitement and almost fear of a deadlift or whatever. I mean, of a clean or whatever. Kind of like I was like, this is what weightlifting is to me. Is that exhilaration of wow, this feels really heavy. I have to do this really well. I have to move really fast, and then boom, you do it. Nothing's more rewarding than that. At least feeling. It's just that's the thing with weightlifting that gets people addicted, I think. And it's hard to describe to someone when they're learning because you can't get to that level of any of your strength initially. It takes a while to get to that point where you're actually like working against a weight that is too, I don't want to say too heavy, but it's like it's where the strength is the limiter and not just your technique. And once you get to that point, like I remember that, I still remember that clean because I think it was the first time I did like a 315 clean and it was like, oh, this is like it might have only been 295. Like it wasn't I have done a lot more since then, of course, but it was like that first clean where I was like, oh, this is like I had to actually like really be like I gotta get under or I'm gonna get you always think like I'm gonna get hurt or whatever, which is a good motivator for it. Mark, you asked me about these things. I just don't care about them. I just don't care about CrossFit. I've never done CrossFit. I've never been interested in doing touch and go snatch. Like it's just CrossFit is not interesting. Like it's just I think CrossFit is probably the most boring sport to watch because it has no objective standard. It changes all the time. There's no measure of what is a good CrossFitter. It just is so subjective, and that's probably one of the reasons I don't like strongman as much, other than like the main lifts, like the axle press or like a deadlift or whatever. It's because all the lifts are like, I don't know, this guy did 10 other events and then came and did a rock stone medley or whatever. Like at least with a deadlift, like I know what a deadlift is. I know how much I can deadlift. And CrossFit, I just don't care. I've never been interested in CrossFit. I've never done CrossFit. I never saw CrossFit to do weightlifting. My friend who did football introduced me to some of the movements, and I just kind of slowly dove into it. But I never followed like the John Norris or anything like that. Or did CrossFit. So I have a different kind of journey into weightlifting, I suppose, because I did it for powerlifting, get better at it. Then I got addicted. All right, so it's 270. Let's see how this feels. It's pretty easy. Thank you, Wesley. All right. size 270. I think we load up 300 and give it the old college try. Oh, which is the only part I don't like about doing 300 is loading all the weight. It is possible to load. Then you do this and this and flip this bad boy around. Alright. Smooth bar's capacity is 300. Unless I start stacking. Alright. The bar is loaded. It's all the weight I can fit. Garcia, people always be asking me these dumb questions. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about fake fights. They're probably going to tie because it's not a real fight. Alrighty, boys. We'll get this belt extra tight. We're going to try 300. Probably be cursed wearing this Browns hat, but curse says nevertheless. I'm live on my phone, brother. Mark. Oh, hi. Oh, hi, Mark. So I don't know. I don't know if this moves or I just wiggle it a little bit. Let's tickle it. it's too easy. I should have done a double. Oh, I feel actually a little lightheaded. All right, get the belt off. Well, I'm gonna get now. That's just 300. OHP is 102 kilograms, 225 pounds. I might have done slightly more. I might have done 230 pounds, but two reds, when I'm thinking reds, is 120 kilograms. This is 660 here. Yeah. My face, I'm going to get a lot of... It's funny when I squat, I'll get like bar marks from like the pressure. But I'm going to get a bunch of like little red speckles on my face from that. Thank you. Part of me wants to be able to double that. I think I'm not necessarily training it very specifically, but if I could double it, then I might try to it's called what? I don't know what that word means. I actually need to put shoes on because my feet are actually getting cold. I mean, if I train the deadlift, I could probably do 700 if I... Oh, right? Like 238, 237. I think I was 238 with like clothes and everything on, so probably like 237. I fluctuate between that and like 235, so I haven't really between those, so 235 to 238 for the most part. Best ever is 520. Best reps right now, yesterday I did 45 for 3, so 190. Yeah, my weight's been kind of chilling around this for a very long time at this point. So it's nice because I still have to eat a lot, but I haven't been losing weight, which I found is a lot more to do with hydration. If I lose like 4 pounds in even a week or two, it's more just me being consistently dehydrated. And I do a pretty good job of it, well enough to where my weight kind of maintains. And I've done, I think this school year has been my best as far as eating during the day, and like having meals prepared and having like substantial meals. Not that I'm like trying to eat 2,000 calories at lunch or anything, but I'd afford to just have a protein shake and a Cliff Bar because I just have no appetite at work. And now I have to go, because I don't have like a real office, I have to eat in the teacher's lounge, and which is a really nice lounge to be frank. But basically just means I just prepare a meal every day. Usually beef rice, and what was the other thing? Oh, onions. I've been eating a lot of onions. That's how you can deadlift a lot. Onions. I'm an ogre. Beltless straps and a stiff bar. It sounds like that doesn't sound very fun. That would hurt the crap out of my thumbs. I best stiff bar deadlift without, I don't know, without a belt. For me, obviously my PR is without a belt, so I don't know how much that makes a difference for me with or without a belt. I feel like I'm getting better at doing heavy deadlifts with a belt, so it probably helps me a little bit now. But my best stiff bar deadlift, I believe, is 585 or 605. But I hook gripped even when I did powerlifting. But with weightlifting, there's no point because it's not a tested movement, and B, training my grip is it's just gonna hurt it's gonna hurt my thumbs, and not just like ouchie, it's hook grip, but like it's actually gonna like mess with the calluses on my hand, and I need that for the weightlifting movements, not for deadlifts. So to me, this is just for fun. At this point, it doesn't. I deadlift too much for it to carry over. Pulls and clean deadlifts definitely still do, but like if I'm doing a max deadlift like this, like nah. For weightlifting, I try not to because it always slips on my thumbs because there's always adhesive, or the adhesive always sweats off no matter how, like a pre-chalk, whatever I put on, that always slips up. But if I have like an actual callus, like on this thumb, I'm starting to get like a little blister, or at least there's like that like starting of one. I will use tape at different times, and I'll kind of warm up with tape on and then take it off when I get to the heavier weights because it will start to slip with heavier weights. For clean and jerks, it doesn't really slip. I only really notice it on snatching, but I have had it slip on clean and jerks as well, and it's just for thumbs. For like competitions, I generally won't, um, just because it I just don't trust the tape enough. Um, 250 is a pretty good deal. So was it a black was on you said marketplace or was it the Black Friday deal that they're doing? So I saw it was discounted for that, which makes me I think hookgrip.com has me pretty hooked. Each year I keep wanting to do one of their bundles, even though I don't need all the bundles. So it's just too fun to buy. Uh, yeah, I mean, if you get it for 250, that's a lot cheaper than even obviously the website, but even like a Rogue bar. And that's kind of like I know you didn't like the Rogue bar, but like for me, I that's a way that I compare of like I already know what a Rogue bar is going to get you. It's kind of like you know what a quality car is, and so you know like what the price of that is, and then you kind of compare if you're looking at other cars if it's like a good price or not, because you know it's arbitrary. But yeah, 250 for a weightlifting house bar, that's definitely a good price with that. Especially you know you basically go and get it, so you don't have to wait for it to be shipped or anything like that. But yeah, 250 is a pretty good deal for that for sure. Just thankfully, yeah, I definitely, especially I mean if you're looking for to get that barbell, I think you'll probably like it. And, like that's what I just used here. Um, yeah, and it's it's one of the nice things with weightlifting is that a lot of the equipment that people will sell. There was who was the John Bros. I sent him a message on Facebook Marketplace, but he was selling a bunch of his old weights. I think he's all done with weightlifting at this point, but he was selling a bunch of Alico stuff and whatnot. And I messaged just inquiring a little bit, but I didn't really wasn't seriously that interested in it. But yeah, the marketplace is crazy for that. And the cool thing with weightlifting equipment is it usually lasts a long time. Even like weightlifting house bar, I've kind of talked crap about the quality of the company, but I don't have many questions about the bar. I feel like the bar feels quality, but people who do weightlifting tend to take good care of their stuff, and it's also hard to resell because there's not a lot of people who do weightlifting. So if like you buy a bunch of Alico plates, only people who care about weightlifting and Alico are going to even though they have a lot of value, they're going to be in good shape. There's just not a big market for them. And a weightlifting house bar is going to be very niche because not a lot of people are going to know about weightlifting house. Even if they are in weightlifting, there's not going to be, I mean, a lot of people do, but it's not as popular as Alico or Rogue as far as name recognition. So it has that going against it. Plus, like, if someone's getting rid of a bar, they probably either bought a new one or they don't have space for it, so they just need it out and they need to get rid of it. Just like if I was selling my old Titan plates, like they'd be way underpriced because I would just be trying to get rid of them, and they're hard to get rid of. But yeah, and then like getting pound plates in Rogue, I found were really easy. I waited a while, and I got the ones from Titan, these Urethane ones, just because I wanted kilograms, because I already have the Titan ones that are in pounds, and that was back when my buddy and I had a gym for a little bit in Florida, and that's where I got all the original Titan stuff that I have. But um, oh, that's good for the kg. Yeah, they're just harder to find, and that's that's because even people who do weightlifting don't often get kg. Like it's another rare, more rare, because us Americans need the freedom units, but kilograms are just more aesthetic. Like I did a 661-pound deadlift, but it sounds cooler to say 300 kilograms. It's just you can't explain it, but the numbers just look prettier, and that's why kilograms are superior because it just looks better. It sounds better. Oh, I did a 500-pound deadlift. No, I did 227 and a half kilograms. Even if a weird number like that, it sounds aesthetically pleasing. You can't go wrong with that. Oh, comp. Oh, okay. I read comp plates and I immediately thought of powerlifting for some reason, but I think it's because I read Bells of Steel and my first thought was steel plates. Like, why, why you need steel plates? But I don't know. That's the thing is 25 kgs. I feel like that's too much for him, but at the same time, like when you're getting competition plates, honestly, these urethane plates that I got from Titan are like they so looking and researching about them, what I was able to find is that like American Barbell, a lot of these companies that get urethane plates, they're made in China or whatever, but they're all made in the same place and they're just branded with different brands. And when I got them, because I feel like I've used a urethane plate before, and I was like, these feel very high quality, and it's Titan, so it wasn't like it was actually pretty. It was cheaper to get these than it was like road competition plates or even training plates. Um, and they're obviously their colors, the kilograms, and it was shockingly cheaper, and the quality was shocking. The only negative, and I think this has become because it's Titan, the lettering, like where the numbers are, the little decals peel off, but there's still, um, I don't know if it's, I think it's deboss when it's the print is outside of the plates, like the text comes up, so you can still see the numbers fine. You just can't see like the gray on some of them. The numbers come off, but like for the quality that they are, like I was really surprised because I just wanted kilograms and it's out here. So like the brand or like the quality of them isn't as important because it's gonna last a while because it's just me lifting on them. But like yeah, I was like, this is kind of a scam, which is not really a scam, but um, hmm. But yeah, urethane and with I'm sounding like a Titan shield right now. But Titan, like if you're just getting bumper plates, the feel of them doesn't really matter as far. Like the urethane, it looks nice, it feels nice, like moving them around, and they're kind of thin, so they're not like big and fat like the other Titan plates that I have, like the regular ones. The like the reds are like thin, like the blues. So that's the only reason I can fit all the plates on. But they're also usually they're always Titan's always discounted, but like to get a set of them is I would look like it's cheaper to go Titan than anywhere else, like to get one of their bundles. Sometimes they're just out of stock, but I I have the rack squat rack I have is Titan, the bumper plates are Titan, and I guess the wood blocks are technically Titan, but I don't think wood blocks particularly matter. I don't bench press anymore, so I don't. It's 0 pounds. I bench press 0 pounds. I deadlift many pounds. Deadlift 0 pounds. I gotta take all these stupid weights off. Stupid weights off this stupid bar. Oh, I think that was a clip fell off the other side. I was very concerned that something fell. I don't have things that can fall in here. Oh. I I have crash pads from Bells of Steel. I don't have anything else from them though. The crash pads are of extremely high quality though, because I got some from Titan and the foam is fine, but the actual like cover on them ripped off or like the zipper broke. But the Bells of Steel one, I have one right here. This one. I have both of them. They're pretty cheap and they're pretty durable. So they're of very good quality. I can't speak of the rest of their stuff, but and the nice thing with like because like barbell you want to feel you want to have a good barbell that you can feel the quality of. Everything else is very subjective, but I've noticed like between lifting with these old Titan plates and the urethane, it feels better, but I think it's just because the width is consistent with them versus the Titan. The lighter ones start smaller, but then like the blues and the reds get really fat. And I still use like that red Titan at the gym, so I have two reds. So it's not as if like I won't lift with it, but if I had only the reds to lift on, I I actually probably couldn't get 300 on the bar because they're wider. They're too wide. The nice duality of 300 is that if I had more space, then, well, actually, when it's like this, you take all the weights off one side, it can tip a little bit, so then the other side comes off a lot easier. So I don't have to put any weights underneath. I remember at the gym, someone's like, "You got to use or you should use a deadlift jack," but I don't think it'd mess up my bar. But I'm too OCD to let it touch my bar. And plus, like this, like it's easy to get off now because now it's tipped up. Trick of the trade: take off one side entirely, and then you just slide off each one as you need it. I got extra wood here. This was from, what was that wood from? I think that might have been part of the platform. Like an extra piece, a bunch of the extra wood that I had. I just nailed it on these different parts in like back here. So like I have a backrest instead of just having the crevices of the wall. They don't help with anything as far as the heat or insulation, but like these I can set against instead of the into the crevice. And that allowed me to put the flag up there and the flag up there and the American flag up there. So I just nailed random pieces because like I was gonna throw them away. So I was like, I might as well put them up here. You never know, and it kind of helps the aesthetic a little bit. Not too much, but I think it makes the background where the flags and stuff are look a little bit better, and at least saved me from throwing away all the wood. And particularly where I have the American flag, it was nice to have that because I actually think that will help a little bit the insulation because it blocks some of the airflow from above the shed door. So I don't know. That's one of those tricky things. Plus, I guess on the side where the flags are, it will block some of that airflow. So maybe that's why it doesn't feel as cold in here as years past. It's not too cold in general though right now. But yeah, I've seen Zach Tallender lift with the crash pads, and that actually it's weird because usually I'm not influenced to like get specific brands, but when I looked up Bells of Steels once, he had done some lifting seminar and was using the crash pads, and I saw that they were pretty cheap. When I had my old platform in here and I was trying to protect the floor essentially a little bit more, then I was using them a lot more. I honestly probably should still use them to be frank, but I would kind of have to adjust where my squat stands are, and I'm too lazy to do that, so I just kind of drop in random parts. But I have many layers. Like I have the correct like built platform now, so I don't think it's really much of an issue to drop it like normal. But I suppose maybe over the years it will wear down again. But because I know how to build a platform better than the first time, at least to like add the layers and stuff correctly, it's not really that difficult. The biggest issue I had before was just because I just kept putting nails and like whatever just to keep holding down the old stuff. I had to take out all the old nails and whatever, and that took a lot longer. But now it's just screws and stuff. And if I ever did need to replace it, it would be probably a much faster thing because I don't have any nails in it. It's just screws, and I know kind of generally like where all the pieces are, so I don't have any. It's not a hodgepodge of just random pieces together. So because I built it better, it'll be easier to take apart if I need to. But hopefully, I don't need to because the rubber is 3/4 of an inch. The bottom has 2 layers of plywood, so it's got a lot of stability. And the bottom layer, I just put new leveling cement, so it was pretty. I mean, I assume that if it's going to break down, it's going to be the cement underneath there, because in the shed there's moisture that gets in. So I think eventually the underneath might break down a little bit, but it hasn't been. It's lasted, um, obviously until this point, but I haven't noticed any degradation yet. So hopefully it kind of stays that way. But um, yeah, it's like the crash pads are, and the bells of steels I just got because I wanted something to potentially put on the wood blocks as well for block work, because I didn't have my bigger blocks in here. So it was partially that, but also just to have nicer crash pads. that I was going to use more frequently. But yeah, you're just getting dense foam, so it's not really like if you don't care about the cover on it, then it doesn't particularly matter. I didn't like the foam. The foam from Titan was just kind of breaking apart, and it was just looked kind of dumb. So I was like, yeah, I'll just get that. And the cover is a lot better, and the foam is pretty dense, but it's definitely I'm definitely happy with it. I don't use it really at all now, but there's some things you buy and don't use that you're still like the quality's so good. It kind of tells me more about Bells of Steel as a company when I see equipment like that where it's like it's of high quality, so it makes me more willing to trust their other stuff. But yeah, the squat stands I have, I mean, they'll probably last forever. They're from Titan, but like they're really heavy and they're really durable, so I've never had any issues with them. And they're really, like stable, so that I'm never worried about if I have to like throw it into the rack or whatever with it. But yeah, I don't think like finding quality squat stands, you kind of just go by company or whatever with that. But Amazon sometimes hits with some of the cheap stuff they have because a lot of the companies get their stuff made in the same factories, so it doesn't really matter if it's cheap on Amazon or if it's from a name brand company. But sometimes the quality matters. Sometimes it can be hit or miss, and sometimes Amazon or whatever sometimes they miss quite bad. But um, yeah, I don't have anything for dips. I don't really like dips. They always bother my shoulder and elbow. Like I like the idea of doing them, and when I start doing them, they always feel good. But as soon as I start progressing them, I just always get irritation of some area, and usually it's like the back, not really my elbow itself, but like the tricep part that connects to it, and it's just ends up being too hard for me to keep progressing because it ends up just hurting too many different joints. And I have the where I go to the gym, they have really good dip implements. So it's always something that is in the back of my mind, but it's kind of like the bench press in the sense like I'm not categorically opposed to it, but it's just too hard to try to progress it, and maybe that's just because I'm lazy. But it's kind of like lunges. Like in theory, great, but I just don't do it. I did it for a little bit, and now I just don't, and it's just I could, maybe I should, but same time, when lifts are going well, you don't think about all the accessories that you could do. It's when they're going bad you think of the stuff that you can fit in. And I don't know. Dips would be if I was like really worried about body weight strength, then I think dips would be good, I suppose. But they just always bother my either my tricep or they bother my shoulder, one of the two. And I always try to do one with like full range and like lower reps or whatever, but I don't know. Yeah, where is it? Yeah, so like I did like this. I didn't really use much chalk, so I'm not really gonna brush the bar off, but normal steel brush and bar oil. So the 3-in-1 oil, which you can get anywhere. Occasionally, I'll throw that on. I try to just get it into like the corners of it, and then every once in a while, if I, especially if it's gonna be like a random, maybe I'm not gonna a competition. Let's say I'm not gonna lift for 2 days, so I might just throw the oil on the whole thing and use a steel brush and just kind of work it in with there, but not too frequently. I have found that as long as you're brushing the bar off of chalk consistently, it's not really going to build up on rust and stuff. That's the biggest thing that will kind of get it to rust. But I try to get some oil into the collars and try to like make sure it's along there more frequently. Thankfully, I've never had a bar that's like I felt like it didn't spin well, so it's been more of a precautionary thing than me actually like trying to fix something. But it definitely is like if you have rust and stuff on it, it definitely will help with that. And it's good to do every once in a while, but it does obviously make your bar really slick for a little bit, so it makes training for like that particular day it's a little bit more annoying because it will just be oily for that day. That's really the biggest thing. If you brush the bar, like even in a gym, if you don't brush a bar, it will rust. So like brushing the chalk off of it is like the best thing. I think it's just like courteous to do. And granted, at the gym, I'm still using my own bar. But like I think it's just like the courteous thing to do. And I don't do it every single day because I'll be times where I'm lazy or I have it on there and I'm like I'm just leaving or whatever. But I like to do it. I think it looks nice like before training, just to clean off the bar before you train, even if you're going to add more chalk to it. I don't think it makes any difference as far as actual lift for that day, having chalk or not on it, but it makes it look nice and it keeps it nice. Well, like today, I got a little bit of chalk, but it wasn't enough to like for like a day if I have snatching. That's usually when I have a lot of chalk on the outer sides. I don't need as much for clean and jerks, but for snatches, I go ham with the chalk. Brushing the chalk off is by far the biggest key. But yeah, I'm gonna go and eat some food and relax. It was nice talking to you, Reed. I might be on to play. Probably not tonight, but who knows? Maybe I'll be on to play chess later. But I'll see you later, bud. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out. 300. I'll probably post later today. That was a pretty hard lift. Appreciate it, man. Deuces.